Hello, good evening. Welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show, our usual Monday night roundup here on the channel, looking back at the weekend's action. Bit of a League One theme tonight with myself, Chris Bell, alongside me, Bradford City man, Gareth Walker, and our resident terrier, Stephen Downs. How are you guys? We well?
Yeah.
All right.
Are you?
Yeah, mate. What a daft question.
Now you're all right. Now you're all right that we started the stream.
I mean, yes, absolutely fine. I couldn't be much better, to be honest, mate. Lincoln haven't lost in 91 days. We're second in the table, and I'm not entirely sure what's going on in the world, to be honest. So, yeah.
But you're denying the facts that you're already up, as Dowsy keeps throwing them in the group chat.
We are in no way, shape already up. There is still far too much football to be played and far too many games against
10
other
points.
sides.
10 points, 13 games left. You're up. Shut up.
We're not up. We're not up at all. Stop. Stop it.
Just celebrate.
You stupid man. Shut up. We are not up in the slightest. We're going to take a bit of a casual approach to League One. So, City fans, Terriers fans, get your comments in on the channel. We'd love to get your thoughts and views out as well as our own. Let's start then with, I guess, the positive side from the weekend, which was you, Mr. Downs, with a win for the Terriers in the Yorkshire Derby. I'll be honest, I looked at one point, saw you were 1-0 down, thought, hey, up, Downs don't like that. And also factoring that your other half is a Barnsley fan as well. I thought you're going to get it in the neck doubly here, but then you turned it around.
Yeah, we did. I put my customary saying in the group chat at halftime, I believe, of I hate football. Yeah, it was a poor first half. We did the town talk show yesterday with all four of us on, actually, Kane, Oliver, and Cal, and it was disappointing first half. McGoldrick's goal is absolutely fantastic. Let's not get that wrong. However,
it is
there's nobody closing him down, which from a defensive angle and a Huddersfield angle, it's poor, but it's a hell of a strike.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I watched it back a couple of times actually, and I don't think the defending is actually that questionable in this case, simply because of the speed in which he takes that first touch, gets out of his feet, and hits it. It's not like, you've given him 5-10 seconds of just ambling closer and closer to the area and nobody's closed him down there. I think, to be fair to him, he's taking his touch, got it out of his feet, hits it, all within the space of a couple of seconds. So,
it's a hell of a goal.
Critical, even though there was bodies around him. I think he's a little harsh to say the defending was that bad.
I still think, and that's because
Yeah, I've seen it. I'm giving a lot of credit to McGoldrick. He's a hell of a player. I'm surprised. I must admit, I'm surprised he's still playing and that he's at Barnsley, because I thought when he went to Notts County the other year, I thought that was him sort of, ending his career, because that's his hometown club. And supposedly the team, I don't know if they were a team he supported as a boy, but he's definitely his hometown club, and everyone thought that'd be it. But he's made the step up with Barnsley, and he's still some player at League One level at 30, 38, 39, whatever he is now.
Yeah, I think, listen, I'm being very super critical of the town defence. I just would have liked somebody to try and get closer to him. But it's a hell of a strike. We went in at half-time. Manning changed the formation from his 3-4-2-1 to a more traditional 4-2-3-1. Eventually bringing on Hardy and Asher, which really made the difference. Obviously, Ryan Ledson got the equalising goal, making a deep run from midfield and nodded it in. And that kind of lifted the crowd and put a bit of electricity around the stadium. And we went on then to score the winner. A great cross from Asher, and Ryan Hardy was there to score his first goal on his home debut in front of us fans.
Yeah, and I mean, kind of where are you where are the town fan base sitting at the moment, I guess, on Manning since the appointment, and kind of where things are in terms of the table itself. It's it's a difficult one, because you see, even when you are picking up wins, you're not kind of progressing up the table, but you are keeping yourself, I guess, far enough away from the sides below, if nothing else. And obviously for Manning, he had that. Who was it that you lost to the week before? We were Stevenage away, wasn't it?
Well, we lost to Stevenage and then we lost to Doncaster on the Tuesday night in what was an absolutely horrific performance, from what I've been told and the highlights that I've watched when Ballymumba decided to play basketball instead of football, which is interesting since he's 5'7". But yeah, I think I just think first question with Manning. Listen, there's no Town fan that's going to. You'd be absolutely mental. He's only had 5 games, and most of the performances have been okay. He's had to deal with quite a lot of adversity, pretty much in a lot of those games. Red cards, injuries to big men up top that make a difference to your formation. He's had to then rely on Dion Charles, who me, you, and Gaz could play better than up front.
I'm not having this.
No, I'm having it. I played better than Dion Charles on Tuesday at 7-a-side, definitely middle of Bradford.
Clearly never seen me play, have you? Not with my knackered knees.
No, but you're just a big man, Gaz, up there, and that's what we need. And I'm not talking about your width. I'm talking about your height, mate.
Nice.
I think. I think. And then your second question was about the table. I think. Look, we are in a weird position, like you say, where we seemingly just can't seem to catch Bradford, which is really annoying. And we did sort of like catch them slightly a couple of weeks ago, but then they've picked up a couple of good wins and we've dropped points. So it's a precarious one. I think we need to keep winning to get in the playoffs because there's teams like Wickham that keep winning and picking up points, and those below us.
I was going to say the sides, if I bring up the table in a second, there are sides, like, for example, Port Vale, who'd have thought it, did you a massive favour with a late equaliser against Reading that meant that the gap was 4 points instead of 2. Wickham beat Stevenage at the weekend as well, so they kind of caught up to them, but obviously couldn't make too much ground on yourselves. Luton, I think they lost at the weekend as well. So I mean, it's a strange one at the moment where kind of a lot of teams are kind of playing each other in terms of sides that are in a similar sort of league position, and therefore that is helping a little bit, I guess, for yourselves. And then obviously you've then got Plymouth, who seem to have turned the corner. I mean, Christ, the hell of a win for them against Cardiff at the weekend, but then they'll probably go and lose the next 2 games or something and drop back off that chasing pack. So it's a strange one.
I think we just need to keep. I mean, I know it's a simple thing to say, but we just need to keep winning games to try and catch those teams above us, such as Bradford and obviously Stockport County. Are the ones that are in the sights, but yeah, they're just doing enough to keep away from us at the minute, and it's just a bit annoying. But obviously, a good win at the weekend. I wasn't too enamoured by the performance, but at this point of the season, I'll take wins over performances, and I just kind of want to get into the summer, really, get this season done, and get into the summer and let Manning do what he needs to do with whatever he wants to do with the squad. Because
you say that, but it could be a championship club though in the summer.
Yeah, but that worries the crap out of me, Chris. I'll be honest. We talked about this last night on the Town Talk show, where it's not about getting ahead of ourselves, but potentially the fact is when Town get in the playoffs, it normally goes well. So we have to keep positive in the terms of we know what history says about Town in the playoffs, and if we do end up going up, this squad will finish bottom of the championship. It is not good enough physically to play in that division. Technically, might be, but certainly not physically. And that's what worries me. But we're not even there yet, and we haven't even, we haven't even secured this playoff place yet. So
yeah, long way to go. I'm not quite sure who exactly you've paid off to comment on the stream, but Chris Watson says, I believe in Manning. It might just be too much of a stretch this season, but let's see. We just need that consistent run of trying to win a few games in a row. Downsy for president, is he mad? Crikey.
Chris is a top guy. Thanks, Chris. Yes, the brown envelopes in the post, mate.
I mean, it's as you basically just said in terms of when you kind of, but you simplify it to basically all it is for Town, I guess, is you just need to find that run of consistency and of picking up results.
Well, it's just plain simple football. Like yesterday, Saturday, the 2 goals came from the fact that we played really simple football. Like the second goal came from a throw-in, and there was 4 passes, and it were in back at net. So, you know, we seem to be doing this thing again where we've got a manager, they just seem to be slightly overcomplicating it. The difference between Grant and Manning, and there's a hell of a difference, is one, Manning actually comes out onto the touchline and shouts at the players and gets them going, and B, he's been quite tactically positive where he's changed things if things aren't working. Grant could never do that, and that has worked. The players are obviously listening to him when he changes formation, and he just changed tactic.
In terms of there was some concerns when he initially came in as to would it just be Grant Ball 2.0. Stylistically, how different actually is it?
I wouldn't say it's massively different, but we expected it not to be absolutely, from say Pep Guardiola to Sean Dyche football. But I think, like I've just said there, the difference is Manning's, he's been on the touchline for over 200 or 300 games, so
Proactive.
he's seen, he's seen scenarios happen, hasn't he, where he knows how to react. He's using that experience. So, we're going 1-0 down in games, but he's been able to get it back, such as the Blackpool game, such as the game on Saturday, and rescue either a point or, as in Saturday's terms, get a win. And that really does make a difference. But if we can stop going 1-0 down or 2-0 down, that would be fantastic to start with, to be absolutely honest.
I mean, just looking next up for you is Wigan away, which would have been an easier game, you think, had they not have replaced Ryan Lowe with Gary Caldwell. I mean, Christ, I was there in with Lincoln at Wigan for one of Ryan Lowe's last games, and they were booing him and singing about how crap his style of football was after 20-25 minutes on that particular occasion. Since then, they've been humped away at Peterborough United and obviously got rid of Ryan Lowe. In has come Gary Caldwell, which is a strange one because on the face of it, you look at it and think it's not that exciting, but obviously because of his links to Wigan as a club previously and the fact that he played for them in the Premier League and scored some important goals for them as well, he seems to have got people on side, and they obviously got a good win at the weekend. No, sorry. Good performance at the weekend, albeit down to 9 men in the end against Stockport. I mean, the game before that they won, I think, in midweek.
Yeah, they won where Taylor scored 2, I think. And then he scored.
They beat Luton. They beat Luton 1-0.
That was it. They beat Luton in his first game, and then scored twice at Stockport, and we're doing all right at Stockport until they ended up down to 9 men.
Yeah. They were in front twice at Stockport, and then they had 2 men sent off and ended up getting beat 4-2 to 2 goals in like the 90th minute or whatever it was.
Joe Taylor. I put it in the group chat, and it wasn't bait. It wasn't just to wind you up. They genuinely both of Joe Taylor's goals were superb. The one where he runs inside the Stockport half is a great finish, great goal, and the header's not bad either for a man who's about 5'9".
Yeah, the first goal is a typical Joe Taylor strike. Using his pace, getting in behind.
How would you know what a typical Joe Taylor strike is? You haven't seen him score for you.
He scored 4 times. None of them in that scenario, but he has scored 4 times. He's actually got more goals for Wigan now than he has in the Town shirt, so I don't know what really that says. But I think, listen, it probably didn't work at Wigan for Ryan Lowe because of his connections with Preston, being the ex-Preston boss, obviously. Bit of a rivalry there in the worst county than Yorkshire. But what I think is it's going to be a difficult test. I like Caldwell. I think he did all right at Northampton in a sense. Was it Northampton?
Exeter.
Exeter. Sorry, he's left.
And you're right.
And he's done all right at Exeter. I think he's done a decent job. So, with not much money there either. So listen, he'll probably get Wigan back on a stable footing. I know that they're in the bottom 4 at the moment. You would like to think that they would stay up with Gareth Oble in there. Obviously, Joe Taylor can't play at the weekend, and neither can the 2 lads that have been sent off, unless they get them rescinded. But I don't think they will, having seen what they got sent off for. So they're slightly weakened there. I mean, again, I'm not being disrespectful, but if Town want to get in the playoffs and get promoted out of this division, they need to beat this sort of Wigan side. Wigan sides of the past have been very good, not this Wigan team.
Yeah, that's fair. Anything to add?
I just was expecting you to say that's very disrespectful, like I said about Burton, but fair play.
I think it's fair, especially given the players that are obviously going to have 3 players out, aren't they? At least.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the thing with Asamoah, and to be fair, Asamoah looked quite good against Lincoln, although he's full of pace, but little direction. Although, to be fair, I didn't realise he's the son of former Lincoln player Derek Asamoah, who played quite a lot of games across the league. He didn't play, I think he played for Guiseley as well at the end of his career.
Wigan are a team, by the way, that we've seen this over the last 2 seasons that Town have been in League One, that they're a team that they can work it very well up to the halfway line. But they've got they struggle in the final third for creativity and to score goals. They're a very good passing team, or they were under Ryan Lowe. I don't know what it probably might change slightly under Gareth Caldwell, but they were very good, like I say, up to the final third, and then it kind of all went wrong for them, and that's why they've just not been at the top end of the division in the last 2 seasons.
Is there any way you can look online to see how many players a team have had sent off in a season? Because I remember we talked about this at Christmas, didn't we? Because Wigan had 2 players sent off against Bradford on, I think it was Boxing Day, and that took them to something like 6 in the first half of the season, and then they've had obviously 2 sent off against Stockport, so that's 8. So I'm not sure if they had any sent off in the interim, but that is a heck of a lot of red cards.
Surely foot mob will have it.
Hang on. Let's see. Wigan are now on. Played 32, 49 yellows. So they... That's funny. That's quite funny. They are 4th bottom of the yellow card table and top of the red card table with 8.
8, yeah.
They don't miss about, do they? They don't muck about. It's so few yellow cards in general for the whole season. As I say, they're the 4th lowest on yellows, and yet top of the league for reds by 4.
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed they haven't had any sent off in the interim between Boxing Day and now. That's some achievement for them this season.
Yeah, you said they were a dirty side, didn't you, guys?
They did kick them from pillar to post on Boxing Day. Yeah, they had 2 sent off that day.
Yeah, it's weird how the stats, though, on the whole, when you look at, as I say, you've got Stockport on 39 yellows, Northampton 44, and then Mansfield and Wigan on 49. It's strange how the yellow card count doesn't necessarily suggest they're quite as dirty, but then you look to the Reds, and 4 clear of Stockport. I think he was second with 4 red cards.
Yeah. Town will be near the bottom of that list because we've only had 2, and they've both been Alfie May.
63 yellows and 3 reds.
Oh, 3 reds. Who was the other red?
I can't. It won't tell me who, but yeah.
Alfie May twice, and then I can't remember the other player.
Lincoln had 75 yellows and 3 reds. Bradford have had 81 yellows and no red cards.
Wow, that's Bradford is such a dirty team.
Hewer City sending off tomorrow night, then, yeah.
I know we're going slightly off topic here, but in the Championship, quite regular. I bet Lee Nichols was at the very top of the yellow card list going back a few seasons. It always got one. You could put a bet on it. End of game, 89th minute. Lee Nichols yellow card. He's the master of it. I've never seen a better goalkeeper at it. But yeah, it's a good win, Chris. Just going back to the game, obviously in the table, like we just talked about, hopefully we continue. We got Wigan at the weekend. let's hope for another win and hope for the teams around us to lose, to be honest. But I think the top two's done. I know you don't like saying that, but I do think the playoffs is going to be an interesting race until the end. Probably all the way down to, I don't know whether Gaz would agree with this, maybe Peterborough. I don't see anybody below Peterborough getting in the playoffs.
I think that's fair. When you look at that Peterborough on 45 points, 7-point gap to town.
At least Plymouth and Peterborough have shown at different stages during the season that they can play the football needed to hit that top six. So I would imagine, down to Peterborough are still in with a shout.
And the surprise team for me would be Wickham. If there's a late surge, it'll be Wickham. And just knowing Town's luck, Wickham will replace us in the playoffs with ex-manager Michael Duff being in charge. Such a Town thing to happen.
And then somehow give it the big one of look at what you could have had when we get some promoted. Let's turn then to you guys and to Bradford City. Obviously, at the weekend, a bit of a strange one because delays on the way down. Well, I say on the way down in terms of getting from the hotel to Plough Lane. Obviously, I think it was England were at home in the rugby league.
Rugby Union.
The Union, sorry, yeah. Brentford were at home just up the road at 3:00. I think Chelsea were at home at 3:00. I can well imagine very easily that just how difficult it would have been in terms of the traffic around that neck of the woods. And obviously that certainly didn't help the preparation when it came to a delayed kickoff, a 3:30 kickoff in the end. And perhaps that showed?
I'm not sure, really, Chris. Graham Alexander said he can't blame it on that. He basically took that out and said we can't use that as an excuse. He did say that, obviously, travelling to the gate, he was quite angry because he is very, very meticulous about his preparation. I know that Simon Parker and Jamie Rayner have said that before, and I think one of them put on Twitter before the game that this delay would not be going down well with Alexander one bit. But he mentioned that, it wasn't just then. He mentioned it was basically coming down on the Friday as well, that they'd had some issues. So you could tell he wasn't happy, but he did specifically say we cannot use that as an excuse. He doesn't think it played a part. I'm just disappointed because I was obviously at the Peterborough home game. We played really, really well. We could have had 10 that day, the Saturday before. And then obviously the Tuesday night, we played against Stockport and beat them 1-0. And those two performances were two really, really good performances, really, really positive performances, 6 points. And you just hoped that we could use that to turn our away form around and go to Wimbledon and pick up 3 points on the road. And we'd just done exactly the opposite. And apparently it was just a dreadful, dreadful performance. People that were there said that the first half was up there with the Lincoln game, where we were in Lincoln away when it was probably our worst performance of the season, or Huddersfield, I suppose. I think you two lads probably saw our worst two performances of the season, Huddersfield away and Lincoln away. Apparently the first half at Wimbledon was up there, and it was just really, really bad. 2-0 down at half-time, 2 shocking goals. Second half a lot better, made the changes at half-time. Makes you wonder why he started with that lineup in the first place. And we conceded a third goal before we got a goal back. And once we're 3-0 down, that was it. We got a goal back towards the end, but 3-1 deservedly beaten as well. And things need to change. On the road, really. I hit on 2 points in my post-match review. I talked about the away form is an issue. We're heading back to terrible away form, which we've had previously under Alexander. And then the other issue is the amount of changes that he made. I just don't think that we have the strength in depth to make the number of changes that he made going into that game. City fans were up in arms saying that he should have kept the same team from Tuesday night. He was never, ever going to do that because he's talked previously about wanting to protect players from injuries, and that's why he makes the changes. And he's learned from the past where players back to back and they pick up muscle injuries. So he was never, ever going to keep the same lineup that had played Saturday, Tuesday again. But I think 5, and I think a lot of fans agree that 5 was just too many.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a risk, isn't it? And managers will always kind of back themselves in terms of trying to protect the players. But, I've seen it elsewhere over the seasons that, you make 5-6 changes and it just upsets the rhythm of the side. And obviously, this was a side for Bradford that had beaten Peterborough a week on last Tuesday. Sorry, and no, that had beaten Peterborough last Saturday, and then beat obviously Stockport in midweek.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Go on, Downsy.
I was just going to say, I don't understand why he changed the winning team.
Well, that's what City fans are saying, and I think the point is that he will always make changes because he's talked at length about when he's in previous managerial jobs where he's kept the same winning side and then players have picked up injuries and muscle injuries. I think the way we play, we are very front-footed, very intense, very high press. He's concerned about that happening and losing key players for 3 or 4 weeks at a time. But when you look at the changes that the other teams are making, I think someone put a stat up about the changes that the other teams make, and it's 2 or 3 at a time. Whereas Alexander, often on the road, is changing 4 or 5 players at a time. And I think it's probably just too many. He actually made a comment, two comments he made afterwards. And I love Alexander, you know I do, lads. I've stuck up for him right from the start. He's so much credit in the bank. But I had to laugh at 2 comments in his post-match interview. One was, we didn't look like the same group of players or team that played on Tuesday night and last Saturday. Well, I'm sorry, Graham, but if you're making 5 changes, you're not the same group of players and team. And then the other one was, I don't think it's the amount of changes that we made because we used to change. I remember earlier in the season going to Stoke and Blackburn in the Cup and making just as many changes and being successful. But the players that he was bringing in then were different to the players that we're bringing in now because of the turnaround and the turnover of players that we had in January. The squad players aren't the same. So I had to kind of laugh at those 2 comments, but I'm not going to sit here and have a go at Alexander because he's got so much credit in the bank. We've done unbelievably this season. Maybe it's just a lesson that needs to be learned, particularly on the road, that maybe 5 changes is just maybe too many.
To be fair, I'm seeing similar at Rochdale, and I'm obviously recovering them on a regular basis. And this month for them has been a full month of Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday sort of thing over the course of it. And Jim McNulty's made at least kind of 2 or 3 changes in most games, apart from I think it was last week only just the one. But it's one of those managers now, across the board actually, to fair, are a lot more conscious of picking up the muscle injuries that come with players playing 3 games in 7 days, sort of thing. And I don't think it's just Alexander or McNulty. I think it's across the board. You're seeing more, what's the word, kind of reluctance to do it, even when things are, going well and there's wins in the previous 2.
Yeah, and I think that... Go on, mate.
Sorry, go on, guys. I was just going to say...
Right, Downsy, go first.
I was just going to say that just on that point, that's something Manning doesn't actually do that often. Change like 4 or 5 players per game. He's very he's got his set ones that he's played quite often in pretty much every fixture, which I like. I don't like a manager changing, particularly if it's working. If you've got a winning side, if you're losing games, change it. But if you've got a winning team, don't change it for me.
Yeah.
The professional footballers, they train every day. They should be fit enough. All right, lads pick up injuries, and that's fine. As a Town fan, I'm used to players picking up injuries there and everywhere. But for me, continuity breeds confidence, and confidence then moves you up the table.
I'm not going to go down. A lot of City fans were apoplectic about the amount of changes, and there was comments before the game and saying as soon as we saw the team an hour before kickoff, we knew we'd lose this game. Too many changes, blah, blah. And there probably were too many changes, but I'm not going to go down that road because it is something that he has said he will do because he's learnt lessons from the past. So he was always going to do it. It's something that he's done throughout the last 2 years at least at City, where he will change because we do have players that are susceptible to these muscle injuries. Sarcevic is a one in particular. You'd rather him sit out. He does have a habit of picking up hamstring injuries, which is probably partly his age. But you'd rather him sit out 1 game than have to sit out 2 months with a muscle tear. And I think it's partly down to the way we play, the high press, the front foot, the energy. He is going to do it. He was always going to do it. It wasn't a surprise to me that he did it. I think that the fact is that when the person brought up the comparison to what other teams are doing, other teams are making, you mentioned Jim McNulty making 2 or 3, perhaps he's all right. I think when you're making 5, it's probably too many. I think that's probably the issue. And then the players coming in as well. apparently Kieran Kelly and Louis Sibley were both really, really poor, and that's your left-hand side. That's your entire left-hand side. He took Tyreek Wright out of the squad completely. Tyreek Wright's been really, really good lately. He wasn't even on the bench. He wasn't even on the bench on Saturday. And whereas Tyreek Wright's been really, really good lately. He wasn't even on the bench. Poynton again has been in and out of the side recently with other injuries. He had a foot injury, but those two were the surprise. I understand. I get what Ian's saying. Yeah, I understand the Sarswich one, the Tyreek Wright and the Bobby Poynton one. Two younger players who were both in good form was more of a surprise.
Yeah,
especially when it's your entire left-hand side. You change the entire left-hand side, and that creates a problem.
Yeah, Ian making the that point there about resting Sarswich is understandable, but 21-year-old in Poynton and Tyreek, I'm surprised they can't manage two in a week. Let's turn our attention to tomorrow night. Obviously, for City is one of the two games in hand, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But Rotherham at home, Gaz.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be more of a full strength 11. I would imagine it will be. I think, like I keep saying, it's just Ian hinted at it there. Like, you understand the Sarswich one. It's just the amounts of changes. 2 or 3, 4 or 5 too many. Tomorrow night, I'm hoping our home form has. It's been really, really good. I'm hoping we pick up where we left off against Peterborough and Stockport. 2 really good performances, 2 really good wins. Hopefully we can back that up and win our 3rd home game in a row. Rotherham, down near the bottom of the league. I keep seeing messages on Twitter to say that Hamshaw's been sacked, but there's actually been nothing yet from Rotherham. Officially, so I don't think he has. I think it's just rumor. The fans want him out. They're obviously struggling near the bottom of the league. I don't think he's gone yet, though.
They'll be absolutely smarting from the fact that they were 1-0 up as well in their South Yorkshire derby, the lunchtime kickoff on Saturday against Doncaster, only to end up losing it as well. So they'll be. I mean, the fans will be furious with that for a start, as well as the way the season's going overall. And obviously, you'd think that Rotherham side might be smarting a little bit coming to Valley Parade tomorrow night.
Yeah, to do that at home against, like you say, your local rivals at home, 1-0 up, lose 2-1 against the team. Donny were down there with them before Saturday as well. He's a big problem for them. And like I said, I've seen the rumour for weeks that he's gone, but he doesn't appear to have actually gone yet. The rumours were there again today. Matty Hamshaw's been sacked, but then you check the Rotherham website, he hasn't. So, yeah, at least we're not going to face this new manager bounce thing. But Rotherham in a derby at Bradford, he's always a tough game. They have a good record against us, the Rotherham. We've just got to, like I say, get the first team back out, the team that played against Peterborough and against Stockport, and hopefully see the performance that we saw against Peterborough and Stockport. Yeah, that's all I can say. We need to be playing like that and not like we did at Wimbledon.
It's a poor team, that Rotherham team, if I'm honest. It's a very poor squad. I mean, they've got Sam Nombe up front, who I actually think if he was in a decent side, he'd score quite a number of goals.
He has to be fair at Exeter.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. But if he was at a decent side, if he was, say, he was at a Stockport or a Bolton or something like that, I think he'd be in, well into double figures. But Rotherham are so poor as a team. I mean, they don't do anything well. They don't attack well. They're one of the worst sides I've watched live and on the TV this season. I've watched obviously quite a number of League One fixtures, like the dinner time games where I've been able to watch them before I go to town games, and Rotherham's been quite a lot on the 12:30 kickoffs, and they're just horrific.
It's a classic League One, classic Bradford City banana skin is that tomorrow night. Everything points to hopefully Touchwood City winning the game. You wouldn't be surprised if Rotherham turned up and did us over. It's a Bradford City thing, but like I say, we just have to play like we did against Stockport and Peterborough, and we're a match for anybody in this division. Sam Nombe was linked with Bolton all throughout the January transfer window. I believe he was just priced out of a move. I think they just couldn't agree a fee at the end of the day. I think Bolton moved on because Rotherham wanted what they thought was too much money.
They don't have any money, Rotherham. That's the thing. Tony Stewart, I think, is still the chairman. Oh, he's not chairman anymore, no?
No, sorry, they don't have any money anymore. When they did
Oh,
they were
yeah.
like yo-yo. So was it 8 seasons on the bounce? They perennially went up and came out down, and went up and came out down for something like 6 or 8 seasons on the bounce.
Yeah, but I think that were a lot to do with Paul Warren, to be honest. He's just a bit of a specialist, isn't he, at this level about, getting a club like Rotherham up. I still don't think that even at that time they had like buckets and buckets of money. I mean, they weren't signing, they weren't signing players like Alfie May and players like Town have signed. They signed some decent players, don't get me wrong, but they had like the likes of Paul Green playing for them, who, terrible player. So I think they'll end up back in League Two at some point with Rotherham, if I'm honest.
It's a funny one because when they were in League Two last, we used to have some right ding-dongs with them. When Parkinson were manager at City and Steve Evans was manager at Rotherham, we had some proper ding-dongs with them over that that time. But at that time in League Two, Tony Stewart was pumping a lot of money into them at that time, but that was by League Two standards over 10 years ago. League Two standards.
Yeah.
Nowadays, like you say, I just don't think they are doing what they were doing then. Whether that's capability,
he's lost interest.
It may be.
He's lost interest, Anthony. He's one of them owners that I think he's come to end at road really about him owning the club. But the problem is he probably can't sell it to get the money that he wants back to what he's put into the club. You know what I mean? A lot of these owners do that, don't they? Where they've owned the club for the majority of, quite a long stint, 10, 12, 15, 20 years. And then they want to sell it. But the problem is they can't sell it for the price that they've pumped the money into,
Looking at the table, Gaz. Obviously, it's a night with a game in hand that Bradford have against Rotherham. Also, a game in hand tomorrow night for Stockport County. They travel to Burton Albion. Burton, of course, who have found, to be fair, a little bit of form in recent weeks. They've lifted themselves out of the bottom four, but are only just sitting 20th. Obviously, Rotherham currently 23rd. I mean, look, there's an opportunity there for you to either catch or leapfrog Stockport, depending on their game at Burton Albion.
Yeah, I mean, us and Stockport have to be looking at Bolton. We got these 2 games in hand on them. We can both go above Bolton. We need to concentrate on that, but also be wary of Huddersfield behind us. I think we had a 6-point gap on Huddersfield prior to Saturday, having won those last 2 home games. And obviously, Saturday's Town won and we got beat, so it's down to 3. Like you said, this is the first of our 2 games in hand. We have Rotherham, that's tomorrow night, and our other game in hand is Port Vale away, which is, I think, the beginning of March, like the first or the second Tuesday in March. Then we'll be up to our full quarter of games and back on an even keel with everyone else. But yeah, us and Stockport seem to be sort of switching positions regularly. We went above them when we beat them last Tuesday. And then obviously we talked about their game at the weekend where they played Wigan and I think they were behind twice. And then Wigan had 2 men sent off and Stockport have ended up winning 4-2. So Stockport are a good side, another side that are well backed financially at this level and are expected to be up there. I think, like Downsy said before, obviously Wickham a bit of a surprise coming up on the ropes. I think we've been the surprise package all season to be in that playoff mix, and we've just got to, like I say, build on our home performances. We are putting pressure on our home performances with our away performances. We need to. Graham Alexander's talked about as not being able. Maybe it's the fact that we feed off the big crowd at Valley Parade, which is brilliant. It's something that we've not done before. We've gone into our shells and felt the pressure at Valley Parade in the past. Now it appears like we feed off it, but we've got to get our away form up to the standard of our home form. And I think the only way we do that is, or something that will help us do that, is not making as many changes to the team on the road. Hopefully we'll be back to a more like a full strength 11 tomorrow night, and we can pick up the 3 points. Fingers crossed.
Don't talk to me about surprise packages.
You've been in the division however long you've been in it, Chris. 6 or 7 years. You've been building slowly.
7 years, to be fair, we've been here, but I don't think anyone expected us to be second come the end of it if we stay where we are.
It's been a gradual progression for Lincoln, hasn't it? Whereas obviously City have come up and really sort of just. I'm amazed with how well we've done, to be honest, straight away.
Yeah, to be fair, it's been a hell of a season. Come what may, in the end, I guess for Bradford at the end of it. So yeah, there we go. Looking kind of at the table, Bradford sitting 5th at the moment, Huddersfield in 6th, and can only dream of having an automatic promotion race. Fair of you.
We were in it with you till you hammered
Yeah.
us, because you were worried about that game, weren't you? Us coming to your place about a month ago, was it?
Yeah, back in late January, I think, wasn't it? 27th of January, that game. And
Chris is worried about the next 13 games, and yet he has no reason to worry because they're just going to finish behind Cardiff top 2.
We've got to go to Cardiff yet on the 7th of March. I'll be down there for that one.
Yeah.
Don't you worry. So we could overtake you with a win there.
You played us off the park that night a month ago, mate. You were absolutely fantastic, and you've not looked back since. I think you're definitely the form team. Got to be on the longest winning run. You're only a point behind Cardiff now as well.
We are 16 games unbeaten, and we haven't lost a game for 91 days.
It's amazing.
Which
is absolutely
utterly insane.
You've got a long way to go, pal, to beat our 46-game unbeaten run under Lee Clark. Just saying.
That didn't include cup games.
No, league fixtures.
Yeah, I thought it was league fixtures,
and it excludes the playoffs because the playoffs are not technically league fixtures.
So that, in other words, Gaz, what he's saying there is, in that 46 games, there were some games in between that they lost.
That's what I was getting at.
Unbeaten run with games that you lost in between.
Yeah, but unbeaten still in the league, and it's still only one game behind Arsenal, the invincible team. So there,
and that is mightily impressive and has no bearing on the fact that you're now where you are now. Let's kind of do a bit of a quick roundup, really, elsewhere. I want to touch on Halifax Town in particular, because I've noticed a few comments that have come in from Shaman fans over the course of the show. So David's comment, David says, Halifax have bottled the playoffs this year, unfortunately. I think, again, it's a bit early to say that just yet, David. I'll show the table in a moment or two. I mean, Shaman for Life says, do you think Halifax have now bottled the playoffs? I'll be simple with that one. No, there's a long way to go yet. What else have we got? Shaman for Life was asking about Adam Lakeland after the season so far. I'll be honest, it's a shame we couldn't get Dave on tonight, actually, because it's been a bit of a strange time for Halifax Town at the moment. They lost last Tuesday at home against bottom of the league Gateshead, which by anyone's standards was a hell of a surprise. They then lost away at York on Saturday by 4-1, which is much less of a surprise given how well York are doing in the league. And as you can see, Halifax Town at the moment, 51 points, currently sitting in 8th. I guess the killer is the games in hand that Southend have. But Southend themselves haven't been particularly good of late either. So, look, you'd rather have the points on the board than games in hand is the old cliche, isn't it? So, there's still a long way to go. I don't think it's over for Town by any stretch. And I'll be honest, I'm a little bit surprised because I was seeing some comments earlier on social media. I think it was less than 1,000 at the shape of their game against Gateshead last Tuesday. Apparently, there's some murmurings of discontent about Adam Lakeland as manager from some fans, far from a majority, but certainly from some. And it just strikes me, it just seems a bit odd, if I'm honest, because, look, I'll be honest, Town are doing far better than I expected them to do this season, given the overhaul of the squad last summer, the change of manager, and the fact that Adam Lakeland himself had to make umpteen signings when he came in. And I didn't think they would be anywhere near the playoffs, if I'm honest, even though obviously under Millington in the last 3 years, they've made the playoffs in 2 of the 3. I think Town are doing quite a bit better than a lot thought they would, honestly. I mean, Downsy, I'll come to you, obviously, as kind of someone that knows the neck of the woods a bit more. But, I mean, look, Shane for Life has just put up a lot of Town fans booing in the last couple of games, which ruins his confidence. It just seems a little bit odd at the moment to me.
Yeah, I don't think that they've bottled the playoffs, but I understand the what's the word that I'm looking for? The sort of theory.
Yeah.
I
think the main one for Town was that Gateshead game last Tuesday. Sorry to interject. Like Gateshead at bottom of the league, and they've really, really struggled this season. Like, they've had mass changes of squad during the season as well. And that was certainly a game that you looked at and you thought, Town should win this. And obviously they didn't. I get that. And that being a major disappointment. But yeah, I mean, look, going to York and losing, like, it's York. They're bloody on fire. Like,
I think the thing is the theory. The theory why they think that some fans think that they've bottled the playoffs is because Southend have got them 4 games in hand, which is a lot. You know, I look at it from a Huddersfield Town perspective, where Bradford have got 2 games in hand on us. You know, and that does make a difference. However, the point's not in the bag for Southend yet. So, you know, like you've said, Chris, they could go and lose all 4 games, and then, you know, it doesn't really mean anything, does it? I think the thing that Halifax fans are frustrated by and probably tired of is the fact that they get to this point every season and they get within a chance of the playoffs, but because of the money behind the other clubs that are at the top of the league, because they have to refresh their squad every year, knowing that their best players are probably not going to be here next season, it's just a bit of a boring cycle, isn't it? When you've been on that cycle for the last 4, 5, 6 years, and you just know that they're not going to go up because they're going to lose in the playoffs, even though it's great that they're getting there. They're not going to spend any more money on the team next year because they haven't got the money to spend, because the board don't have the money and are not an ambitious board, but they're just doing enough to keep the club afloat. And get them to that playoff position. I think that's what Halifax fans are tired of, and that's why I'm not surprised that there was only 1,000 there in recent games, because they're probably just a bit fed up of it, to be honest, Chris. And like, how many times can you go around on the same roundabout and think, do you know what? I just wish the club had a bit more ambition or kept as best players, and you never know, we might get to 4th or 3rd in the league, and then that means that you're not going to an extra playoff game, and it gets you a bit closer to maybe getting in the Football League.
I mean, look, we spoke to Chris Millington in the summer after he left Halifax, and obviously well before he took the Solihull Moors job, and he kind of made reference to the fact that it's that cycle of replacement as you alluded to, you know, every summer. Chris Millington was resigned to the fact that his 2, 3, 4 best performing players that season would end up being picked up by EFL clubs, and he'd have to kind of source and replace. And to be fair, they did well with that. As I think they've done particularly well this year with under Lakeland to lose the better players from last season and bring in a new manager and still recruit well enough to kind of be around that point. But as you say, I think David Bosworth, who has put a lot of money over the years, as you say, to bring the kind of club back to where it is now. But it's just that kind of next step. I mean, look, Shane Felice says, I think he's done a great job over the last few years, but it's time to sell up. He also took John the Gateshead game. First half was the worst I've seen him. Second half was the best that he's seen them. So, yeah, it's a bit of a strange time. And obviously, we'll get Dave on again, probably next week or the week after for a kind of a deeper dive on Halifax Town. But yeah, it's a strange one. I'd say personally, they're doing far better than I expected them to do at the start of the season when Lakeland came in and the changes were made, because I just thought it might be an overhaul too many for a new manager, but it's going all right. I know there's quite a lot on social media as well amongst Shaman fans of trying to urge people to get down to the ground tomorrow night, because they've got the derby game that is Rochdale at the Shea tomorrow night, a game that I'll be down there for, obviously from a Rochdale persuasion working for them.
But Rochdale's a good example. You know, there's lots of good examples there, isn't there? The clubs that are above them. You know, so like you take them. I don't, want to go on too long, but you take Rochdale as the first example. You know, got relegated to the Football League. Got relegated to non-league after however many godforsaken years in the Football League at the level that they were at. You know, then you go to York, who have obviously been in the doldrums, but they have also been up there in the Football League. Carlisle, as we know, spent 113 years in the history of the Football League and got relegated. You know, then you've got Boreham would always do well at National League level, but they're a bit like Halifax, but maybe a bit more ambitious and do have a bit more money. Scunny, of course, have over the last couple of seasons been an absolutely horrific basket case of a football club, but have done surprisingly well this season. You know, and then
stabilised.
Yeah, you know, and then Forest Green, obviously, with what's his name? Is it Dale Vince? I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
The chairman, and he has got money, and without him, probably Forest Green wouldn't have done what they've done over the last couple of years. Southend again are a big club. I will count them as a football league club, you know, and they've had a lot of history. So Halifax are battling there against some absolutely huge names in terms of football, huge money when you've got somebody like York who are paying 250 grand for strikers and, you know, stuff like that. I mean, it's finances that Halifax could only dream of spending. But I think the problem is for Halifax, without any new money or big sponsorship or whatever, they're just not going to get over the hurdle where they are now. And that I think psychologically for fans, that's a problem, because how many more seasons can you go to the share, spending your money on season tickets, knowing your club's not going to get anywhere, that it's hit its ceiling?
I think you made a really good point there, because when Chris first brought the topic up of Halifax, and obviously Shaman for Life in the comments, I was looking at the league table thinking, well, what are you doing at? Because you're similar to where you were under Millington, and we all talked about what a fantastic job he did. But then I think Downsy's hit the nail on the head there. It does feel as though they're frustrated. I don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting to hear for Halifax fans what they're actually booing at, because Shaman Life is, for the life there, saying obviously Bosworth's done a great job over the last few years, but it's time to tell up. Maybe that is it. Maybe it is the fact, like Downsy says, they feel like they've hit the ceiling and change. And it's not so much that they're booing Lakeland or the players; it's the fact that they feel like they can't go any further because of the setup behind the scenes. Yeah, there you go. You see, it's the setup behind the scenes, and if that's the case, then it's totally understandable. That's the frustration. Downsy's hit the nail on the head. You're just going to be frustrated, aren't you? Feeling that you can't push on to go any further, and you need change off the pitch to be able to do that. Because they are literally where they were. They are where they were under Millington, aren't they? They're in a very similar position to where they were under Millington.
You see, it's not like me at Town, where I go watch a crap performance and know that the players that we bought are a lot better than what they're showing, and that's my frustration, because my expectation for the team is a lot higher than we're performing at the moment. Where for Halifax, it's kind of the players that they've got can't get any higher, because they can for other teams because they know that they're going to be bought, but the club itself can't get any higher, because the teams in front of them are either bigger, they've got bigger budgets, they've got more history, they've got bigger fan bases, so therefore they're bringing in more revenue, and Halifax just don't have that, and it's sad, but it's just a reality of the pyramid of football, isn't it?
You've articulated it really well, Downsy. It's just got to be so frustrating as a supporter, and I get that. It's like when you initially look at the table and think, well, they're where they were under Millington, and they're achieving, but they don't have the potential at the moment to get to do any better because of what they're up against. I think you bang on.
Yeah. As you say, those sides above are either kind of what you class as EFL names in terms of Rochdale and Southend, or money bags in terms of Forest Green, Carlisle, and York. And to be fair, in Scunthorpe, obviously you've kind of got a little bit of the two of those, and Boreham Wood, but with Scunthorpe, we've got momentum as well. And look, you want to look at Bradford City in League One at how important momentum could be. I think that applies very much to Scunthorpe and to Boreham Wood as well, with them coming up. Look, we'll obviously keep tabs on Halifax Town as we usually do, along with the rest of non-league. I think next week, I think Lou's hoping to be on for a deeper dive into the non-league scene as well. I know Silsden, they got a big win in the MPL East at Bradford Park Avenue at the weekend. Weirdly, that's a strange one. Nick has just commented little Silsden upsetting Bradford Park Avenue. It was a beautiful day, massive 3 points for Matt Kavanagh. Yeah, a great result for Matt Kavanagh's side for Silsden to win at Bradford Park Avenue at the weekend. I'd say next week we'll try and do a full deeper dive into the non-league scene. Go on, Danza.
Emily also got a terrific 4-0 away win at Matlock, who were second in the league, and Emily, of course, a third. So that was a really fantastic win for Emily. It was great to see.
Yeah,
That's a
Guiseley,
massive
I know
result.
as well. Sorry, I was just going to touch on a mention on Guiseley as well, because they got a big 4-0 win over Warrington Town at the weekend. I think when I looked at the table actually after that game as well, Guiseley are, I say only 10 or 11 points or so off the playoffs. I'm not saying it's doable. There's a long way to go, but it's a good result, certainly. I think consistency seems to be the issue for Ian Richards' side at Guiseley at the moment. Go on, Gaz.
I was just going to say that's a massive result. It's funny, actually, because just as you started talking about Silsden, Nick put that first comment in about them upsetting. It was like almost telepathy. And then I was literally just going to say, where does that victory rank in their history? And he put that. It's an amazing result.
It's like you're reading our minds, to be fair, but it probably is, you know. And look, somebody that's going to have lived in Cross Hills for what? Quite a large part of the last 20 odd years. I know kind of quite a bit about Silsden and the community and that sort of area. And that is a massive result. I mean, Christ, I remember being at a Silsden game when they lost to Bootle on the final day of the season to be relegated out of the Northwest Counties Premier, I think it would have been at the time, down to Northwest Division 1. And obviously, for them to kind of work the way back up, come across to the East and be in the MPL East is remarkable, the job that's gone on there over the last few years. And obviously that's a great result for Matt Kavanagh at the weekend.
I was just looking at the table. Sorry, Chris. I think Avenue's got to be a bit worried playoff wise. You know, they've got Ponty chasing them on. They're only 2 points behind. I think, you know, Concert are a number of points behind after that. But yeah, Ponty are definitely chasing them. 2 points behind.
You keep talking, Downsy. I'm going to very quickly try and get the table up.
Yeah, I think Redcar's won the table. It's virtually, you know, in the same scenario as Lincoln going up from League One. There, you know, 10 points ahead. Second place, you know, Emily. So Redcar on 71 in first, Emily on 61 in second, and then it's quite close in the playoffs because Matlock are on 61 points now. Dunstan on 54, so that's a bit of a gap there. Bradford Park Avenue only a point behind Dunstan in fifth, and then like I say, Ponty Collieries on 51 points. So it's quite tight between Dunstan, Bradford Park Avenue, and Ponty for those playoff spots. I expect Emily and Matlock to be able to, you know, secure their playoff places quite soon, to be honest. But then, you know, you look further down the division, obviously in our area, Gareth, 43 points. They'll finish nicely in mid-table. I would expect.
Yeah.
Ossett have done a great job to pull away from any relegation sort of fears. And in 13th, you know, I think you've got to give big credit to the team there. Obviously, Emily player managing them now. His name has just escaped me. That's really bad.
James
Walshaw, that's it. Obviously, non-league legend. And then the bigger...
If you look up, Danzy, I've got the table on the screen.
Yeah, well, it's easy to read off my phone, but to be fair. Yeah, obviously then the bigger Lincoln club in 15th.
Oh, here we go.
I'm just putting that out there. Silsden, like I said, massive result at the weekend, and it pulls them clear, done it 3 points. You know, and then Brighouse sadly in the relegation spots. I don't know if I'm sure next week when Lou's on, he can maybe touch about the Brighouse situation, as I know we touched on it with Dave, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago? But who would have thought it? Blythe Spartans, look at them. But you know, second bottom there, 26 points. I mean, massive non-league club, and it's just terrible to see the positions they're in. But as ever in that division, Chris, it's fascinating for our teams, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's one of the busier leagues for us, isn't it? Outside of the Northern Counties East League, of course, is the MPL East, full of West Yorkshire sides. And to be fair, you look at the win for Silsden, obviously takes them to 32 points and moves them 3 points clear of that bottom six, as it is actually when you look at Newton Aycliffe. But it goes to show what a big win that was for them at Avenue at the weekend. Let's finish up with a quick word on Leeds United. I don't usually...
the rubbish, the staying up.
I don't usually bring up comments from what I'm going to class as absolute randoms in the comments, but I think there's a Man City fan here with some messages for Jay and Brownie. Park the bus style, he says. That's what Leeds are. Park the bus style. Play a low block. I mean, to be fair, I don't think Leeds are quite that low block, but yeah, clearly SBO, some slightly peculiar Man City fan. No respect, no offense, mate. Yeah, with some messages for Jay and Brownie there. Obviously, that's who Leeds have got next weekend with Man City visiting. This weekend, though, Gaz, Jay was fairly pleased with. Well, I say pleased. A 1-1 draw at Villa, which me and Downsy looked at and thought that's not a bad point, but Jay was, I think, pleased with the performance, if not the result.
Yeah, I think that's a good point as well. But I have a mate who's a Villa fan as well, and he was very much of a similar opinion to what Jay had said, that Leeds had largely been the better side for the majority of that game. I think that's where the disagreement was in the group chat. In that, yes, on the face of it, it is a very good point, but in the context of the game and how it panned out, I believe that Jay obviously thought, and obviously my mate thought, that Leeds were the better side and could have had all three. Obviously, Villa scoring late on as well is a kick in the balls for Leeds. It's another late concession of a goal and another late drop of 2 points. But what a free kick, by the way, from was it Stack who scored the goal?
Yeah.
Anson Stack. It's a hell of a free kick. I don't know what quite think Martinez is doing. He can be a little bit erratic at times. He seems to go from the sublime to the ridiculous, but he should have really been covering that near post, I think. Do you know what I think, lads?
I wasn't sure, because I think, you look at the way that Villa had set up defensively, both in terms of defensive positioning and goalkeeper, and it just reads that everyone's expecting him to cross it in. Nobody's expecting the shot, including Martinez. Downsy, your take?
I just thought it was a great free kick, to be honest. I didn't think, it's not, for me, it's not an horrific goalkeeping error.
No.
He could have probably got there if he'd have positioned himself slightly better. But I think we've seen worse goalkeeping positioning from free kicks this season compared to that one. I do agree with Gaz, though. He's a bit of a mental goalkeeper, and he does some crazy stuff. So I just think for Leeds, I think it was a good point against a club that have been doing brilliant this season, but I just don't see Leeds going down. I know that. I think are they still on the same points as Tottenham, or have I got that wrong?
The point more than Spurs, I think.
I think they're a point better off. I think.
Yeah. So, before that game, they were on the same points.
The 2 points above Spurs, and they're 6 clear of West Ham in the last relegation spot. Yeah,
so they're a place above Spurs. I think Leeds are safe. I know Jay don't like it. I know that you don't like saying that Lincoln's up, but I don't see Leeds going down. I think they're too good at home. I can see them getting enough points to stay up. Whereas I think Spurs are in massive trouble. It just astounds me how that football club can be in the position that it's in. I still think, to be honest, I still think the bottom three are crap and they'll end up going down. I'd love to see Forest get relegated, obviously.
What a surprise.
Oh, I know, what a shock. If Burnley could somehow get out.
Forest played really well yesterday. They were really, really unfortunate against Liverpool. I know that was the first league game in charge for Vitor Pereira, but they obviously they'd hammered Fenerbahce in Europe in midweek as well. And on the Thursday night, and I thought they might show, because he stuck with the same team, and I thought they might show a bit of fatigue, but they were fantastic. They really were. They didn't deserve to lose that game at all.
If Burnley could somehow miraculously get out of it and send Forest go down, that would be fantastic. But I do think Spurs are in big trouble as a football club. I really do, because I don't know much about this guy that's taken over. I know he's managed Marseille and that, but he don't. Yeah, even in his first press conference, he's made a comment about the ambition of the club, hasn't he? So he's only been there 2 days. But I think Leeds are fine. Going back to our clubs, I think Leeds are fine. I think Farke needs to be given some big credit, to be honest, because he's basically fought half the fan base all season who want him sacked.
To be fair, I actually wouldn't be surprised to see Leeds get something out of the Man City game next weekend as well, because of the fact that it's at Elland Road. I know when Arsenal came, they had an off day, and Arsenal were excellent and won 4-1 in the end. But I would not be surprised at all to see Leeds really cause Man City some problems next weekend.
Would it not be funny to see Man City win the league?
No, I think it'd be vile, horrible, and awful.
No, but if Man City won the league, which meant Arsenal bottled it, that would be quite funny in itself. And then when the 115 charges come in, Man City's title gets taken away from them. So then they've both got asterisks against the names. That'd be hilarious, that.
Nothing. I just don't want anything good to come from Man City, basically.
You're just a Pep hater. We know that.
I'd take Arsenal winning the title this season over, most things, to be honest. Like, if anybody else outside of City can mount a title challenge and actually win it, I'd be fine with that. But yeah, anyone but City.
We'll just put that to test then. Arsenal to win the league, but it means Lincoln don't get promoted.
That's irrelevant.
You've just said...
You're comparing two different things. I meant out of the Premier League teams, you moron.
He's bottled it there, guys, hasn't he? He's bottled it.
Right, let's get to rounding up. I do want to touch, finally, I think you mentioned it, or touched it in a private message to us earlier. Gaz, Chris made this comment earlier ago. Sean McCarthy, bit off topic, but always remembering Town versus Bradford days. Now, I'll be honest, I had to Google Sean McCarthy because he was a little bit before my time. I'm not sure what he's up to now, but he's 58 years old. Gaz, go on.
He was like one of my first City heroes. You're talking early 90s. We took him from Plymouth for what was a reasonably big fee at the time. And I give you a little bit of pub trivia, although it's probably only pub trivia in Bradford. But on Sean McCarthy's debut, he scored, missed a penalty, and got sent off on his City debut. And it was one of my first City heroes. Early 90s. We sold him to Oldham eventually, who were in the Premier League at the time. And he scored a few goals for Oldham, but I don't know what to do now, so no idea. But what a player he was.
His record, I'm not surprised he was a bit of a hero when you were young. 130, according to Wikipedia, this is a slight pinch of salt, but 131 games, 60 goals for Bradford City. When you were right, it was 140 games and 42 goals for Oldham. But that's a great record, 130 games, 60 goals for Bradford.
Yeah, you're talking early 90s. I think we were in
90
League
to 93.
League One as it is now, the division that we're in now. And he was a bit of a hot prospect. Well, not a hot prospect. He was just a really, really good League One striker at the time, or Division 3 striker as it was then. Sold him to Oldham, and we took Neil Tolson in exchange, who was just not a patch on Sean McCarthy, unfortunately. Part exchange deal.
Couple of other bits. I would love that, Downsy, if that's actually Cam Ashier. If that is actual Town player Cam Ashier, I would be impressed if he's watching. Let us know if it is.
Let us know.
Finley, it says, did I go to Mansfield versus Lincoln? I didn't. It was sold out pretty quickly, actually, the away end at Field Mill. He says that he did. Thanks for the 3 points. Let's move on. And
you're a better fan, Finley. You're a better fan than Chris. Chris isn't a real fan. He just don't go to games.
Don't be starting arguments.
Me and Gaz actually go to our team's games, but Chris doesn't bother. He just can't be bothered.
That'll work. To be fair, as it is, I'm on a hell of a season as things stand, in terms of the club that I support, Lincoln, going up, and the club that I work for, Rochdale, potentially winning the title of the National League. The odds would have been ridiculous.
You've walked right into this one, Chris, and I was going to apologise before I said it, but I was going to say Chris was probably supporting one of his other teams that day.
The one that I work for that pays me a wage. So
you walked right into it when you started talking about Rochdale.
For our viewers, just want to let Gaz makes a 90-mile trip every week to watch City. Right, let's
it's
just
not
get
90
that right.
miles. He's not. Well, I don't know what
Gaz,
it is actually.
Maybe
Gaz,
round trip.
He's quite a number. Yeah, round trip, probably 90 mile, right? there and back. I obviously go and watch Town on a regular basis. Chris doesn't
when
go
did
to
you
watch
last-
Lincoln,
When
and
did
he
you last-
also
actually,
supports 17 other clubs in the Football League. So
I don't support 17 of the clubs, and I do get to Lincoln games when I can, as proved by the Huddersfield game
Every-
that you were
every
also
2
there
years.
for as well. So, you know,
you're only going because Lincoln are doing well. Where were you when you were getting relegated all them years ago?
I was there. My ticket for the
Yeah.
Blackpool game on Saturday, I worked out after I bought it, is basically within like 3 rows of where I sat 15 years ago watching Lincoln get relegated out of the Football League. So you can stick that in your pipe and smoke it, you dog bothering so-and-so. Right.
Fished him
let's-
in, ladies and gents. Fished
let's-
him in.
Let's round this up now. I've been trying to for a while, but yeah. Big thank
go.
you to Gaz and to Steve for joining us on the stream tonight. Big thank you to everyone that's got your comments in over the course of the evening as well. Don't forget, if you started and joined us midway through, you'll be able to catch the full show from the start on our YouTube channel. You just need to go to the live section of the YouTube channel and you'll find it there. Steve will be back on Sunday, no doubt, with more Town Talk, reflecting on the weekend's game. As for Gaz, you'll have your little video update from well, are you going to do one tomorrow night from the Rotherham game if you get a chance?
Yeah, I've been doing them every game. There'll be an update. There'll be a post-match reaction tomorrow night, Chris, after the Rotherham game, and again on Saturday after the Reading game.
Yes, they're in the video section on the West Yorkshire Football Show YouTube channel. But as I say, for myself and the lads, thanks for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your evening, whatever you get up to, and we'll see you soon here on the West Yorkshire Football Show. Take care.